future. I stand up strong for the future. Stronger than ever before. I stand up strong for the future. I stand up strong for the future. Stronger than ever before. Stand up strong.
Countries had to, for example, enact policies that are going to make sure that implementation is possible. They are going to do budgets, allocate budgets. Okay? And that's what we want to do today. So for example, if you look at SDG 5 and 8, we're going to delve into it and look at, for example, because there are certain policies that the government has enacted, right? But as you're a young person, do you know them? Maybe you don't know them, maybe you know them. But maybe there are lacunas actually. There could be gaps, right? Yeah, what are those gaps? For example, if we are, as young people, if you are to feel that there is good environment for you to enjoy, good jobs, decent jobs, and all that, and economic growth, what are the things that the government needs to put into place?
My name is Marilise Biugwa, a feminist and activist and an activista. And we're here basically today because we are conducting a focus group discussion on citizen accountability on the Sustainable Development Goals. Sustainable Development Goals because after the MDGs in 2015, Kenya, like many of the 193 countries, signed into agreement to have the Sustainable Development Goals being implemented from its country.
We indeed strive to take forward the youth voices in as far as giving them the opportunity, one, to indicate whether in their day-to-day livelihoods and operations, whether you're at campus, whether you're at home, do you have any interactions with SDGs?
SDG cafes with youth are mainly a space that we are using to encourage youth to, one, get to appreciate that the ultimate achievement of the SDGs, as young people, they have a critical role to play in. And why is that? This is because globally, youth comprise the highest percentage of the population. And so we cannot afford to leave them behind, and we can't continue having business as usual, excluding them in the different processes that we are undertaking. Now, when SDGs were adopted in 2015, the main focus was upliftment and embetterment of the livelihoods of the communities. Now, youth is one constituent of the communities that we cannot do without. And that is why, as ActionAid Kenya and our global platform, which is basically our connector with youth, we thought it's adequate for us to have these conversations and to hold these cafes with youth, for them to get the appreciation and for them to assess what is it that the government of Kenya has in place that is aimed at facilitating it to deliver on the different SDGs.
Last year in 2017 July, the government of Kenya did present a voluntary national report to the high-level political forum in New York of the UN Assembly, giving an accountability of how far it has gone in terms of delivery of the commitments.
If we can have this conversation, and most especially led by the youth, then we believe that it can be sustainable for us to demand for action from the duty bearers, that is the government.
As Lucy said, the SDGs are very universal. And when we talk about universality as a principle, what we are talking about is that it means that it is about what really happens intended.
The nature in which sustainable goals take is as such, these goals have been personalized to enable people implement them in their day-to-day life, and as such, citizens have to take active role in ensuring that the goals are realized. What we are doing here at ActionAid is basically holding this event where we are bringing young people together for focus group discussions to try and see how much do they know about sustainable development goals, what is their role in ensuring that the goals are realized, and even beyond that, who can they be able to hold accountable for when the goals have been realized or have not been realized.
relating to SDG 8, what challenges are us as youth facing when it comes to decent work and economic growth? The first one we can talk about is unemployment. We don't have opportunities to work. We are at home, we are lazing around, we don't have money. Unemployment is a challenge.
My name is Arnold Maliba. I am a policy analyst, and here we are having the SDGs cafe for young people in Kenya, specifically around Nairobi. And we were dealing with specifically two SDGs. SDG number 5 about gender equality, and SDG number 8 about decent work and economic growth. The two of them are very integral to young people, especially in the global south. And the training that we've had for the last 1 week has not just been about sensitization of the SDGs to young people, but also bringing to fore the role young people can play in the realization of SDGs in their own communities, in the government, both the devolved government and the national government, and how as private citizens in our own small ways, and especially as young people, can play in ensuring that the SDGs are actually realized.
Sustainable development goals, when they were adopted by these countries, they were fed into the Vision 2030. So the monitoring and evaluation process goes on until 2030 for us to be able to see, have we been able to achieve anything, compared especially to MDGs, because we had MDGs and they failed terribly because not proper measures were put to ensure that MDGs have been realized. So SDGs were a counter, an alternative, and with an alternative you have to come up with better ways to ensure that they are realized, but most importantly they are also implemented. But because looking at SDGs, basically they address issues that affect people across the world. They're not issues that are unique to, say, a country like Kenya. They're issues that are unique to everyone, no matter where you live, no matter which country you come from.
For me, what I like is that we just don't put things on paper, but make sure that things really happen on the ground. And coming from Mukuru, it's one thing making sure that people in Mukuru get to understand what SDG are. Because most of the time people are already doing things that are really relating with what they're talking about. But ile kitu haiko ni the link between what people are talking on paper and what is actually happening on the ground.
To ensure that, one, we are taking out the message pertaining to SDGs and getting the constituents that we work with, of which our constituents are mainly young people, women, and people living in poverty and exclusion, and other marginalized groups, LGBTI, Q, whatever. Also, people with disabilities, all of them, they are our targets because we consider them to be excluded. So now, the whole point was, one, to get to ascertain, are these people at this particular point in any way conversant, interacting, benefiting in any way with the SDGs or not?
Having a society where a lot of people are young people, it's sort of dysfunctional if these young people don't have jobs. So we have to hold a discussion primarily to seek solutions from these young people. What is it that they think, for instance, the government can do to be able to provide proper jobs for them? Second, what is it that as an organization, Action Aid, we can be able to do together with these young people to be able to champion for innovation, to be able to champion for all these things that young people can be able to do beyond white-collar jobs in things like entertainment and all these other things, so that these people can be guaranteed to get decent work.
If you look at the Constitution of Kenya, if you look at for Goal 5, if you look at the Marriage Act, in terms of having equal rights at promulgation and dissolution of marriage, we all have equal rights. Do you have, or do the people have that appreciation that this does indeed facilitate delivery of this, and has it worked for them, or do they see their gaps?
SDG 5, which is on gender equality, is critical to us because, one, as an organization,
we are unapologetically biased towards women. And so our work aims at uplifting and empowering women to be able to be regarded as a gender that is very critical to the society and that cannot be ignored at any given time.
SDG 5 is very fundamental because it's the only stand-alone goal in the 17 goals, and it talks on gender equality, basically addressing all the violations that are experienced by women and girls in the society.
About goal number 5 on gender equality, I think it's very important for especially young people to discuss gender equality and really understand why is it important and what does it mean when we talk about gender equality, because I think there's a big confusion about gender. For many people it means that it's women, but I think of course women are the most marginalized, but when we talk about gender equality, we are talking about moving forward to a world where we have equality between men and women. It's very important that the world views gender equality for both men and women in regards to job opportunities, power position, decision-making processes, that both genders are included.
For SDG 8, which relates to decent work and economic growth, I think that is the most fundamental issue to most of the Kenyan youth in terms of youth employment. And that is primarily the guiding factor for us to engage conversations with the youth as relates to SDG 8, such that they can be able to appreciate whether indeed the current stipulation, most especially the progress that was supposed to be brought on board by the National Employment Act, which as it is, even the authority is yet to be constituted. So ultimately, they are not enjoying the benefit of what would have been brought about by this particular act.
Young people are up to 70%, and this 70% comprises of over 50% of young people who don't have employment. So decent work is a fundamental thing, because we have to define and redefine what decent work is and be able to find ways in which young people are able to access works and jobs.
We are looking at the youth voice. Can they carve out for themselves matters to do with what they feel are vital for them to get sustainable employment? Like, what is that decent job they're looking for, and why is it that we have an employment rate at its all-time highest in Kenya? Then what are the ways to mitigate on that? Then we're talking about gender equality. What is it about gender equality? Why is it that we've been talking about this over and over again, and there still seem to be gaps? And then if we have to seal these gaps, what are the things that we need to do? Youths are here to deal with matters on sustainable development goals. So what are sustainable development goals? Originally we had Millennium Development Goals that are now detailed to Sustainable Development Goals. So we have about 17 of them, but this forum particularly is looking for SDG number 5, which is on gender equality, and SDG number 8, which is detailing on matters to do with youth employment, and not just employment, but decent employment for the youth.
No matter what it brought, stand up strong for the future. Keep going, keep fighting, don't